Salutations, hello, hi, and welcome to Basic Public Speaking. I'm Christy Thomas. I'm your professor instructor for this course, and this is the weekly chat for Week 6. Week 6 dates include September the 22nd through the 26th. I want to first begin this by saying thank you for submitting your storytelling speeches. I look forward to watching those, maybe finding some new songs to vibe with. With that being said, I hope to have all that upgraded and updated by Friday of this week. So let's go ahead and get into it. As you probably seen, a lot of modules were open. Boom, boom, boom. Don't fret, I made a video on this and have also opened it. I went ahead and opened up the lesson modules for week 6, 7, and 8. These are the weeks remaining prior to ACTC's fall break. ACTC's fall break falls on October the 13th through the 17th. There will be nothing opened or no information sent out that week. So I just want to make you aware that that's what's going on. So when you like, that's a lot of information, this is not all for 1 week. I just went ahead to open the remaining weeks prior to fall break because this is information that's going to come in hand for the second main speech, which is due at the end of week 8, and that module is being opened up this week as well. In that module, you're going to find a Word document, a video chat describing what is being asked for this speech, and then there's going to be 2 links. One link is where you will submit the video of yourself delivering the speech, and then one is for an outline. An outline is due with the speech, and again, we've done the organization outlining lesson upon which there is a template. You are more than welcome to use that template. I'm not saying you have to use the template I provide. If it's not your tea, it's not your jam, doesn't hurt my feelings, but an outline is due nonetheless. An outline, not a transcript. A transcript is a word for word, verbatim, what your speech is over. I'm not asking for that. I do not want that. And outlines must be submitted as a Word document, not a picture of your outline. It's stated in the syllabus, not a picture of it. That's not what I'm asking for. I want an actual Word document. Again, you can use the one I provide where you plug and chug the information, or you can create your own, whatever your pleasure be. But let's go ahead and move into week 6, shall we? Week 6 lesson, and the week 6 is September 22nd through the 26th. I believe I already said that. Who knows at this point? The lesson is labeled presentation. This discusses the intro, flow, and conclusion. So with what I'm meaning here and what this lesson breaks down is when you're doing a speech or giving a speech or a presentation or going forth in life with this communication, a lot of times the introduction is just that you're introducing us to what you are discussing or what your speech is going to be over. Just like we did a purpose, a purpose, we have our topic, our purpose tells us what the topic is over, and a thesis statement is a one-sentence directive of the purpose. So an introduction is basically you are foreshadowing. Excellent use here. You're foreshadowing what you're getting ready to talk about. It could begin, well, in this speech, I'm going to teach you how to create the perfect winged eyeliner look. Or it could be, in this speech, I'm going to discuss the life of, insert here, athlete. You're giving us an introduction. You're giving us a teaser. A preview, if you would, of what you're going to talk about. And sometimes but it's not always. Not always. I don't want you to freak out. This can be really attention-getting. It can be started off with a scary statistic or an interesting fact or some just eye-opening information or a joke or a story. This could, not only is this a preview, but you can also get really creative here as well when you're introducing your speech. Perhaps there's this famous quote or a really funny joke that leads into it, or perhaps you're giving, here we go. So say you're going to be giving a speech on the true crime of Lizzie Borden, the unsolved murder of her parents, and how, whatever the case. And maybe you start your speech, there's that little nursery rhyme, I don't know it verbatim by heart, but there's that little nursery rhyme that goes along with it about gave her mother gave her father 40 whacks and turned her. Anyway, perhaps you start your speech with that. You know, it's eye-opening. It goes along with what you're saying, and you've got the attention. It's attention-seeking. Think of it that way. It doesn't always have to be, but this preview, this little teaser of what you're getting ready to talk about is attention-seeking. It can be eye-opening. It can be interesting. It can be intriguing. It could be captivating. You know, you're wanting to entice your audience to stick around. That's what we're talking about here. So we have the introduction portion of the speech. Then there's the flow. The flow basically is how you can effortlessly or glide or seamlessly interject here, whatever you want, from your main points. I talk about it in depth in the lesson. 3 to 5 is a wonderful amount of main points. If you go past 5, it's information overload. You can kind of lose your audience because there's a lot of information. And I'm sure in your educational journey this far, perhaps you have been in a classroom or watched videos or trying to learn something, and there's a lot of information to process, and it's just, you know, and it's information that could easily be condensed. That's what we're talking about here. And I say 3 to 5 because 3 is really a magic number when it comes to public speaking and main points. If it's less than 3, you're not giving the audience enough to chew on. Think of it as the meat of your story, the oomph behind it, or your speech, not your story, excuse me. You're not giving enough to entice your audience to stick around. You're going to lose them. So you can either have too much or too little. That's why 3 to 5 is a magic, you know. And that's not to say your information can't be meatier than 3 to 5 points, but the main points can be condensed down to those bulletins like 1, 2, 3, ABC, ... whatever the case may be here. So it's the flow from point A to B, C, 1, 2, 3. It's just the flow of the body of your speech from point A to point B. Perhaps you're doing a tribute to an athlete or a persona. And you talk about childhood, achievements, and it could be, you know, up to where we are now. That's 3 points. It's the flow of how we go from childhood into their achievements to the now, or the most current of them, whatever the case may be here. That's what we're talking about here with points, and it's flowing. You don't want to be like, well, in this section, we're talking about the childhood. In this section, these are achievements. You want to give it a flow. You want it to just smoothly go from point to point. Again, it's enticing. It's intriguing. You want to bring in your audience. And the smoother the transitions and the flow is, the easier it is to do that. And again, that's why I always talk, and I've said it before, and really hit it with the preparation and topic purpose or topic choice. If you pick something you know and love and have a working knowledge of, or a joy, whatever the case may be here, it's easier for you. It's easier for your presentational flow. You know, you can put a little bit more of your personality into it, this or that. And then finally, the discussion of conclusion. And conclusion is just that. You're just wrapping it up. You're summarizing what you just talked about. And you can also leave it on a joke or an interesting fact, like a rhetorical question. Would you? Question mark. Words are hard. You've done your introduction. You've done the body, you've done the speech itself, and now you've come to the end, you know, and it could be wrapped up. And with what I've told you today, you can see the important factors that so-and-so gave to the world. Or I've talked to you about how this beautiful piece of architecture was created in honor and tools used. Or this is the best album by this artist. And, you know, you can leave it just like you used a joke or something attention grabbing in the introduction. You can also leave on like a joke or, like I said before, a rhetorical question, a quote, whatever, you know, you're just wrapping it up. You're just wrapping up that speech. You told us what you're going to talk about. You talked about it. And in this section, we're going to just talk about what we talked about. It's like the really condensed version of what's going on. But that's what week 6 lessons are over. So really kind of check out that. And it just helps with presentation. And as we continue on with speeches, main speeches or storytelling speeches, we really, our flow becomes more fluid. It becomes, I don't want to say loose because that puts a connotation behind it. But I like that in sense of like your first few speeches. If you're not a public speaker or like speaking in front of folks, which the beauty with this is that you're just recording yourself and sending it to me. That doesn't necessarily eradicate all anxieties or fears of public speaking. It does diminish them the way it would if we were doing this in a classroom setting. But you know, you become much more chill in your delivery. And I say that because when nerves or an anxiety are working against you, it can be tight. Your body is tight. You are rigid. Your shoulders are hunched. Your jaw's clenched. All the things. Your brow is furrowed. All the things can happen when you are in a state of anxiety. You're anxious, you're scared, you're worried. You've hyped yourself up the opposite direction than to be like, we're gonna do the thing. Anyway, my tangent or rant's over. I'm sorry. So week 6, 22nd through the 26th of September, it's discussing presentation. Do not fear. I have opened up the modules for week 6, 7, and 8. These are all the remaining modules prior to fall break of ACTC, which there will be nothing that week. At the end of week 8, main speech 2 will be due. That module is open. Check it out. It has the Word document, the video chat, and the 2 links provided because, again, each main speech has different sets of technical requirements, and this one we're introducing for the main speeches. Storytelling will never have those. An outline being due. An outline. Not a transcript. Outline, not transcript. Outline. And if it's still confusing, go back to that module and check it out. I'm sure in your educational journey thus far, you've had to make an outline for a book report or a classroom. So, and if it's still something that's confusing, like I just want you to remember, I don't want a word for word transcript of what you were saying. I just need an outline. You know, this is what I'm doing. This is my purpose. You can throw a thesis statement there. Introduction, point, conclusion. Like, you don't even have to write out big long paragraphs. Intro and conclusion may be lengthier than what the points are, but it could be like the introduction. I'm here to introduce you how to create a divine charcuterie board. Point, conclusion. And with these steps, you too should be able to craft something even Martha Stewart would be jealous of. I don't know. I went on tangent there again. Anyway, folks, if you have any questions, concerns, or just need to chat, please reach out to me. I'll get back to you as soon as you can. And hopefully by Friday, September 26th, your storytelling song speeches will be graded and uploaded to Blackboard. Thanks so much. Have a great week.